it's really interesting. Here's just population projections. And so we're on our way to 10 billion people on the planet, and we will never have more humans on the planet than that. We're almost there. And many of the really big populous countries are going to plateau and decline. Some countries that you wouldn't think of as like population drivers are going to become bigger population drivers before they plateau and decline, like Nigeria. That's all happening right now. That's like macro demographic stuff. And that's going to challenge systems, especially in some parts of the world. You won't believe me when I tell you this when you look at your news feed with what's happening with immigration policy and xenophobia in America today. But America will be begging people to come here and providing financial incentives, kind of like Italy, to get them to do so. Seems hard to believe, doesn't it? But that's where it will go in your lifetime. Because here too, they need more people buying more goods and services. If you have deflation, it means your house is worth less every year. Hard to sell them. The systems collapse. And so that's one thing that is going on. And some of the takeaways include these. And these are just like minor data points, but we're only 20 years away from the majority of the British population being people of color. Great Britain, like what could be whiter than that? 30% of the German population is born somewhere other than Germany. In the United States of America, the majority of the documented kids from 0 to 18, the majority are people of color. That is who is here. And it doesn't matter who's in charge or what the policies are on immigration or anything else. Diversity is your future. It is your present, and it is your future. Some people might be really uncomfortable with that, and I think it is one of the big drivers with the culture wars, is that when Bill Clinton was running for president, 76% of the voting electorate was white. And in one more election cycle, white voters will be 49% of the electorate. And that's just freaking some people out. It need not. It truly need not. To give you a couple things to help you understand that, a little over 100 years ago, the women's suffrage movement was coming to fruition. And a lot of men were terrified. If women get the vote, there are more women than men in America. Men will become minorities, and they will be outvoted, and they will be disempowered, and men will become oppressed. And they had all kinds of campaigns to prohibit women's suffrage and to stop women from entering the workforce. Because if women enter the workforce, it'll be really bad. They'll be taking all the jobs from men, and men will be disempowered and unemployed. That was the thinking. And there was a logical fallacy in that thought. And it was this. The thought was, the world is a zero-sum game. If someone does better, they're basically taking my pie. There's only so much pie. It's a zero-sum game. And we will fight against somebody stealing my pie. They don't have any right to it. But the reality is, although women had to protest and petition and do all kinds of things, eventually they convinced an all-male Senate to vote for women's suffrage. And women did get the vote and did enter the workforce. And you know what happened? It grew the pie. The stock market took right off, roaring 20s. Men were the primary owners of stocks and the primary financial beneficiaries of women entering the workforce. It did not take anything from men. Even today, only 17% of the world's democratically elected leaders are women. The patriarchy is alive and well. All of the fear-mongering about women getting access to economic power and political power was so unfounded. It's ridiculous. Today, I think there's a little fear that as our demography changes, as people of color rise, that it will somehow be those people eating my pie. That there's a fear about white erasure, so you get culture wars. That there's a fear about big changes to our politics and economic systems. Throw those folks out, slow that stuff down. Let's get white folk from South Africa to come here and let's stop everybody else, like weird stuff. And it's all unfounded. To be clear, and I'll tell you a little more about me and my story in just a minute, I'm coming for the things my ancestors were denied. And it shouldn't scare anybody. Because by that, I simply mean I'm coming for my longevity. And if I get it, it will not reduce someone else's longevity. I'm coming for my humanity. And if I get it, it won't reduce anyone else's humanity. In fact, it will enhance everyone else's humanity. I'm coming for prosperity. And if I achieve that, it will not reduce someone else's prosperity. It will enhance it as we grow the pie together. Even if your neighbor's kids are working harder, faster, and doing better in school, it just means the teachers and the systems can work faster with everybody's kids. And if your neighbor's house value goes up, yours does too. So there was a senator from Minnesota named Paul Wellstone, and he had a good line. He said, "We all do better when we all do better." And all too often nowadays, people are freaked out by change to the point where they're fighting for just us instead of justice. And it's based upon logical fallacy that there's only so much pie. In fact, it's one of the greatest validations that we still have oppressive systems. That somebody's worried that when who's in charge changes, we're going to flip roles between who is the oppressed and who is the oppressor. And it need not be that way. For most of your lives, there will not be a racial majority group in the country. We're all going to have a minority experience. And so, the constitutional protection, and it literally uses this language of minorities from, quote, the tyranny of the majority, is a protection not for who you would think of or are enculturated to think of as the most disadvantaged minority. That is a protection for each and every one of us in each and every one of the things we hold most dear and most sacred. That's for all of us.